Good morning, traders. It is Thursday, the 25th of June, 2015. It's 8:01 a.m. Chicago time. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative of future results. And let's look at the news. Overnight, very light news, mostly Greece-centric. A couple moves by the People's Bank of China caused a 3.5% drop in the Shanghai index, but most of that was recovered. Creditors poised to present a take it or leave it plan to the Eurogroup regarding Greece. Volatile price action observed in European equity markets this morning as the talks between Greece and its creditors resumed to break the deadlock in the never-ending Greek debt saga. German Finance Minister Schäuble says the Greeks are moving backwards rather than forward in negotiations. The differences are becoming larger. Not hopeful about a deal today at Eurogroup. Athens needs to make a decision. In the U.S. at 7:30, half hour ago, we got the May PCE deflator month on month, 0.3% in line, year on year, 0.2% in line. Initial jobless claims came in at 271,000 versus 273,000, and continuing claims came in at 2.247, slightly higher than 2.22 million. May personal income came in at 0.5 in line, but personal spending is higher at 0.9 versus 0.7%. May's PCE core month on month is 0.1% in line, and year on year 1.2% in line. Finally, the S&P fair value is currently at negative 8.2. If you're tracking the S&P index, you would subtract 8.2 points from the indexes, the SPX, to get the futures price, the fair value of the futures. Looking ahead at the calendar, we have at 8:45 Central, just 15 minutes after the open, we have the U.S. Composite PMI. We have the U.S. Services PMI expected at 56.5. 9:30, we have EIA natural gas storage at 79. And then it's pretty quiet for the rest of the day. We have several speakers today. 7 o'clock, we had Fed's Tarullo, although I did not see any comments from that speaker. Right now, ECB's Prate is participating in a panel in Frankfurt. At 8:45, Fed's Powell speaks on payment security in Kansas City. And ECB's Draghi at the European Council in Brussels, which I think is already taking place at 5 a.m. Central. At noon today, we're looking for a 29 billion 7-year note auction. Let's move on to the technical picture. Let's clear this. All right. So let's start with yesterday, where we left off. Yesterday's primary hypothesis was the expectation for a choppy open and then a drop to 2109.75 with some pretty good overhead resistance at 2114 to 2116. And I warned, I'm not sure if I warned on Twitter or in the S5 chat room, that to be cautious for a trend day, since we had 2 days of consolidation and a lot of repair beneath us. You can see the next gap down is all the way at 97, which was the target yesterday for any drop, the extended target. What the market did is we had an open auction in range, fairly choppy open as expected. It did push to 2116 and push through to 17.5, which was the closing swing high. And then we had this impulsive move down to 7.5 points. Could not pull back to the mid to help us hop on to this trade. It chopped around above Tuesday's low and Monday's low. These 2 days have basically a very similar low, which is also the high of Friday. So this area is pretty important here, 2111. and chopped around here, and then finally we get the slow grinding trend where we have impulsive moves, then continuation moves, then impulsive and continuation, and we end with an impulsive. So it did get to 2109.75 and closed that. Next area down was 2105 quarter. And then once we take out the 2105 quarter, the next destination is 2097, which brings us back to the low here. But it's also the MC point of control from before. You see this thick black line here, 2097 and a quarter. So we're looking for this to be the next target. The reason I was looking for so once it clears 2110 and gets to 2109.75, it clears this composite LVN that you see here. I'll try to draw. That's the composite LVN. So we've moved from this high volume node. The next high volume node is this. Then we go to this, and then it's likely to go to this and push down here if it cannot hold the 2097. I feel like a coach with a marker board at a basketball game, but that's the way things are shaping up right now. And so the expectation once it clears 2109.75 is to get down to 2105. That was the next target. Once it clears this 2103.50, then we're looking for 2097 and a quarter, and couldn't quite get there. The way we left the auction yesterday, to me, was incomplete. A strong selling delta on the close. A lot of people hitting the bid on the close. Some pretty good size going off here on the tape, and a pretty blunt low. The expectation here on the normal expectation here is for this to continue lower overnight. We expect a continuation of this move lower. On the 15-minute, what this looks like is in that time horizon, this is an impulsive move down 16 and a quarter points, basically almost the entire day's range. Then we have the typical flag or consolidation coiling, and then the continuation move was happened basically in the last couple of bars on the close, from 245 to 3 to 3 and 3 to 315 central. This looks like the continuation move is complete here, but since it closed on the low with a blunt low like this, we end up with a pretty weak low. Again, the expectation overnight was for it to continue down to 2097 at least. So let's look at the overnight session. This is the trouble with a news-driven market. I've been pushing the fact that you need to kind of be attentive to the news and not get stubborn with your positions in this environment. What you have here is a market that finished weak. This is pretty weak here. The expectation is for it to push lower into the overnight session down to the 2097. Probably poke it. There are probably some pretty decent stops down here. Chop around and walk itself back up to the LVN right here, and then hold steady for the overnight session. And then the primer hypothesis was for continuation lower and for that low to be taken out this morning. Instead, it just kind of walked itself up during the European session and then responded to news, as you can see here. So it changes what I had predicted to be the most likely hypothesis for today. Right now, it's pretty murky. The profile overall overnight shows consensus. We have what looks like a Gaussian profile, not so clean, but 2107.50 being the most valuable price, and we're trading underneath the mid. Here's the mid right here, and underneath the point of control showing a little bit of weakness. Lower high right here. I'm looking for this market to balance the overnight inventory, which is long at the moment. So I'm looking for hypo 1. I'm looking for a responsive selling down into this area, but I'm looking for it to struggle here. Pretty choppy action on the open. But overall, I expect this low to be taken out today or tomorrow. If it does not, this would be a very, very important piece of information. The overnight news took us back to the high volume node right here. This is a double distribution profile, and what we did is we crossed into the upper distribution from below and have come back down. So I expect us to be stuck here this morning, and then I expect it to resolve to the downside. So we're looking for it to essentially this morning, I'm looking for it to consolidate and then release downwards. So if we can draw that up, draw the hypo up on here, it would look something like we're trading up here. I'm looking for it to be an open auction in range. I expect it to fall into yesterday's value to balance inventory. I expect it to chop around and then gain momentum, gain energy, and then I expect it to break. The next target down is 2091.50 for the naked point of control, and 2089.50, and that puts us underneath the MC point of control. So if that's the case, if it does put us underneath the MC point of control here, we start to expand and look at the next high volume node, which is at 2085, and that'll be our extended target. That's 20 points from where we are now. Not so likely today. It's possible, but not so likely. You could see the market 21 and a quarter down here. This is the first standard deviation of all daily ranges going back to the 9th of October 2013, and you can see on the high side what's considered 70% of the data set. On the high side we have 21 points, so it's well within range for us to drop that far. We do have a fair amount of energy up here. We've built quite a bit of energy up here and up here, but the most recent, this is enough to push us through. It's just a question of, do we hold this high volume node down here or not? If we hold it and are not able to get back through yesterday's low volume node, then I expect it to go lower. It essentially, nothing's guaranteed in the market clearly, but it essentially means that it's not able to collect enough energy to push through. So as long as it stays below that 2109.75 from yesterday, I expect the market to continue lower as primary hypothesis. Okay, that's a lot to cover. Real quick, I want to go over oil. I have not for a while. I know I talked about oil likely taking out this last high at 62.23. We're in the August contract, so the numbers are a little bit different. Used to be at about the target above is about 65. Now it's 63. So oil is consolidating again, and I still expect oil to push through to 63.35 and go up the flagpole here. You can see that on the profile, you can see how it's stuck in this high volume node, and then there's nothing here. There's nothing here. I expect it to walk up and retest to get a proper auction on those prices. It's been consolidating a long time, and this is a lot of energy for oil to dissipate over time. So you can see it's stuck at this in this high volume area here, but it's built a ton of energy, and the markets go from balance to imbalance to balance to imbalance and imbalance. The tighter the imbalance, the more volume there is, the more likely it is to break away and push through. So that's how things are shaping up with oil. Very interesting setup in there for swing traders, I think. Finally, I hope you got something out of the new feature yesterday, the Trade Wisdom Wednesdays. The next one will be next Wednesday. It'll be at the end of the Trader Bite. I'll make sure it's hashtagged or something so you can see it. You can also search for those on YouTube by searching for my handle and hashtag Trade Wisdom to be able to see which Trader Bites are in there that involve that. But hopefully you're watching your risk in this environment. It's don't get stubborn. And I'll leave you with that as a last thought. Take care.